we're going to be talking about changes to the build center. We've done a pretty big overhaul of it, or I should say we're going to. This hasn't actually been released yet. But yeah, let's dive right into it. Oops, there we go. So this overhaul was really a reaction to some difficulties that have been pointed out with the current build center, or at least as it exists now. One being difficulty to find installations or find specific build boxes. I know this occurs mostly for Configura developers, but it can happen to really any developer that has access to a lot of build boxes, a lot of installations. There can be a really long list, and there's not really any built-in way to search or filter on them. There's also no history to be tracked. Anytime any kind of change is made, it happens, and then good luck figuring out how that happened. Also, just because of how it was implemented in the background, there wasn't a whole lot we could do to really improve things. For those of you who have been on the platform long enough, you know that back in the day, this used to be just a glorified FTP server. Things have advanced a bit since then, but still was a pretty bare backend. Whereas now there's a lot more structure to the backend, so we have a lot more room to improve the process, how updates happen, how builds happen, things like that. Also, the build center as it stands is not really optimized for mobile view or any kind of view on like a small device. It doesn't, scale very well. So we wanted to do a graphical overhaul to make that a bit better. So overhaul of that build center page. So this is the page you'll get to when you click build center from that developer tab. What you're going to see is this one here. So this is more in line with our graphical profile for the rest of my Configura, or at least from the developer and project owner perspective of things. It's more in line with all of that. A bit of terminology change. What we used to refer to as installations, we're now calling distributions. Since that matches up a bit better with what it's for. Since, I mean, yes, there is still installations behind it. Still, there's MSIs behind all this, but since it's each one of these, what used to be boxes, used to be dedicated to a specific user group, it made sense to just rebrand it to something that matches that. Who are you distributing this to? So we have distributions. Just a reorg of where things are lined up. We keep the officials on top now versus the custom boxes on the bottom, just since, I mean, official is what you're going to be looking for a majority of the time anyway, so let's just make it easy to find. Also, if you remember that side panel where you had listed out all the builds you've uploaded, that was kind of a trick to find things in. Basically, your only hope was to open up all tabs you had visibility to and then use your browser search functionality, which obviously wasn't great, but we've built that up quite a bit. Versions have now been grouped together. At least for the time being, this is pretty much restricted to just the official distribution, the official boxes. We don't really have boxes anymore. Distribution, installation, same thing. So the versions are all now grouped together into one interface to make it a bit easy to find. As of right now, this isn't really an option for, let's just say, external projects. So for your own distributions, versions isn't really a thing yet, but I know it's something that we're working on. We're hoping to make available. The idea being that you could have a separate version of a distribution per major core version. So like you've seen in the past where we had a different build box for say 11.5 and 11.0 of official. That's what I'm talking about here, just grouping them up into one distribution. Also, I forgot to point out, I'm just going through an overview of all these things right now. Once I get through these, I will actually pull up our like test server, and I will show you what the stuff looks like in in reality. Um, right. So versions. Again, this is mostly for the official builds right now, but it's just split up into sections so that you can see just a separation of what's like internal, like the abstract, CT designer, stuff like that, and then any other extensions that have been added on the bottom. Also separate areas for first aids and revisions. Revisions I'll come to in a second. And the new history tab. So that is from there you can see like when packages have been updated or removed or things like that. So some new features that are coming down the pipe. The history tab. Well, this one's available as is, but like I said, whenever you create a distribution or add things to it or update things into it, you get a like a log entry in this history tab here. So whenever those things happen, oh, it also tracks who made the change as well. I believe this also checks changes in dependencies as well. There's also this new distribution change notification thing that we have now. So you can toggle this on, and then whenever a change happens to your distribution, you can be notified. So if ever like a new package gets added or something like that, you can receive an email notification. This is done per user, so it's not just everyone who has visibility to it. It would be just for yourself. So this might be a good thing for like let's just say a project owner or an extension owner to sign up for. They can click this one on, and then anytime, say, one of the developers uploads a new build, they would be notified automatically. So, right, revisions. So the idea is that you set kind of like waypoints in your distribution. So say you create your distribution for the first time, you're automatically going to get revision 0. What you can do the next time you go to upload a new build to your distribution, you have the option of creating a revision. When you do that, the build will automatically switch to using that revision. So there's at first no real difference. But what you have the option of doing later is actually rolling back to your previous revision. So say you push out a new change, you realize late that there's some problem with it, you can actually roll back to your previous revision and then have everyone like roll back. Um, right now, this is something that we're still, I guess you could say, beta testing. It's being used internally for some projects, but we wanted to get some feedback internally first before we decided it's ready to ship out. I think this is something we're going to roll out pretty soon, but I can't really give a date just yet. The mobile view. Um, if you're trying to view Build Center on mobile devices, it has been updated to be a bit more friendly for the smaller screen space. So update types. For anyone who's seen the 11.5 migration webinar or read through the migration notes, you should already know about this change. But just in case you don't, I'll real quick jump back to that. So as part of the build center in operator, so when you're actually creating your builds and uploading them, you're given a couple of new options to specify an update type, as well as the option to set release notes. That is now also available in the new build center. So if you don't set it at the time of upload, you can actually come back and change that later. If you're not familiar with the build types basically all this is just meta information about the build. For the most part, this doesn't do anything other than inform the user what kind of update or patch you're about to push out. So for example, minor bug fix. It just whenever they get their update notification and they see the more info, it'll just say for this new version of your package that it's a minor bug fix, and then optionally a link that'll follow to the release notes. None of these really do anything other than just inform the user, with the exception of critical bug fix. It's the only one that's treated any differently. By default, when users receive updates or the update notification, they have the option of delaying it for some time and like doing the update at a later time. Critical bug fixes actually bypass that. So if a build is marked as a critical bug fix, as soon as the user gets like notified that it's available, they're forced to install it right away. The release notes, if I come back here a second. This is just, you drop in like a web address here. And what it'll do is in that update page or the update notification like I was mentioning, if there are any release notes assigned here for your build, it'll provide a little link the user can click on and it'll take them to that address to show any release notes you have. Okay, so I am going to pull up the test server and show you what it looks like. If once you go to dev and then build center, this is the page that you land on. Distributions is the main tab, so when you'll start off on, this is equivalent to what you saw before with all the build boxes and stuff in it. Again, distribution, installation, build box, all kind of the same thing. Distribution is just the name we're solidifying behind. So over at the top, we have the official distributions. So this is where all the official distributions are. And then below that, all of the custom ones that you have visibility to. You can see down here, 2 tabs, favorites, show all favorites. I've already got 2 favorited, but if I show them all, you can see these are all the different like builds, or sorry, not builds, distributions that I have access to. I'm internal, so I can see quite a bit. But what I can do, and this is one of the newer things, so if I do have a whole bunch of them, let's say maybe there's a special Fika test distribution I want to test. So Fika, nothing with Fika, really. Fika doesn't have their own. Interesting. All right, how about any just that I created? Well, I only made 2 of them. I can find that, I can take it off as a favorite, and then in the future, it'll just be in my short list here. So that's easy to find. For now, let's see, what would be best? Go to existing one or make a new one? Let's just make a new one. So hit that create distribution button at the top. So this is like the equivalent of making a new build box. So a lot of this, like what I'm doing in the terminology is gonna look pretty familiar to what you've seen before. The inheritance pattern is still a thing. So I want my distribution to be on top of, say, 11.0, whatever is the latest in 11.0. So I'm gonna go to inherit from official, and then it automatically selects the most latest version. For those of you who don't know what this means, basically what this means is that my distribution will be the same as the official 11.0 distribution plus whatever I add in. So for example, CT is in there, Fika is in there, things like that, all that's in there. And then also whatever I add in. So let's see, what do I have? Probably have access to more than one. Oh man, there's a lot of stuff in here. So this down here is like that section that used to be on the right. You can see there's a whole lot in here, but I happen to know I want Fika and I want 11.0, and so I can find the one I want. And this is basically just a text search based on the extension name and the like version number or the upload name. So if I happen to know I'm searching for, I don't know, NRC, and it's 11.0. I can filter on that way, so it's a lot easier to find things now. Fika. I want Fika, not 11.5. I want 11.0. So this is 11.0 distribution. We'll grab that one. That gets dropped in. Hit the next button. It's at that point. We didn't actually see anything that time. In fact, maybe we can go back. Maybe we can simulate something going wrong here. Fika 11.5, which shouldn't work because I'm only on 11.0. We'll do that. Move on here. And you can see we got some problems. It's calling out those missing dependencies. Before, I don't know if this bothered anyone else, but this message used to like pop up towards the top, and then you had to like scroll up to catch it real quick before it disappeared. Even then, you had to like real quick scan it to figure out what was all in it so you could deal with it. But luckily, they just leave it here now. It's kind of nice. But I only want 11.0, that, and we'll move on. Key, or the name of the box, or the distribution, same as before. Pajo demo Fika. I probably didn't spell that right, did I? No, I didn't. Dang it. Embarrassing. And then visibility. Again, just like the old build boxes, you can choose who is able to see this distribution. I'm going to say only dev training folks can see this. Or maybe the Fika people can see this as well. Oops. Hit submit. And there we go. I only have one version. I'm going to click on that. And then here we are. So I can see what's currently in there. If I have any first aid builds, I'll be able to see them from this first aid tab. I can see my revisions, and I can see what's been done. Not a lot so far. I created it. I added Fika to it, so not a lot. But as changes come in, this list will, keep on building up with stuff that happens to it. Adding builds to this, or like updating builds, just hit the add builds button, and then this, dialog looks the same. So like again, I can just hit Fika 11.0, grab one in here and add it. Unfortunately, I don't really have a good test build to add to demonstrate this, but there's really nothing to it. It's the same as before. You'll add it, you'll click next, and then it'll go through. Oh, it's gonna let me. Oh, well, there you go. I suppose because it's the same thing, it's okay with it. But yeah. Going back to like the main build center, it doesn't add that as a favorite automatically, but I should be able to find it again if I go to show all. Pajo, Fika, there's my demo. Go ahead and favorite that. And then there it is. I can open it up again. Now, let me think here. What am I missing? Preferences. I don't want to do the redirects. That is an option. If you have multiple versions, that you can toggle on manual redirects for this distribution. I want change the inheritance. I want to see. Here we go. The remove is a bit more scary now. A lot harder to do this one accidentally. There's a special like remove dialog in the distribution. Oh, come on. Fingers. And it's gone. But yeah, that's the quick whirlwind tour. Any questions on anything?
Hey, Paul, it's Adam from over at Platinum Edge. I do have a question. I tend to bounce and manage multiple builds for different clients depending on how many projects we're doing, how many extensions we're working on, et cetera. So I have different build blocks laid out for them. Is this, and do you think this is an easier way to be managing multiple builds, or is that going to be something that we'll need to adjust process-wise? Because this seems like it will be harder for that, but I could be freaking myself out, you know?
Multiple, do you mean like the old boxes?
Yeah, yep.
I suppose there's a bit of preference to it. I know I myself like this one a bit better just because I know before I saw this, there was just a million boxes and finding the one I wanted, even for like just one project, was a bit of a pain. Being able to like favorite things is really handy, I think. I can just keep track of the ones I care about for a given partner for whatever projects I'm assigned to for the time. But I can also see how maybe that pattern, like having to favorite what you like, isn't your thing. I don't know. I like it better. I can say that much.
Okay. I think it might be. It's just it seems vastly different from the old process, which is why I'm both nervous and excited. But okay.
It is. It looks very different. I think that's the I had the same reaction when I was first shown this. I'm like, whoa, you guys are completely overhauling the whole build process, but it's not. It's been laid out a bit differently. All the same things are here. It's just available in different ways. And I think we've added some convenience features that just take some practice, like the favorites thing and the filtering thing. I think once you get comfortable using them, it's a lot easier. I've definitely had an easier time using this, so it only looks new, I guess is what I'm saying. Yes. Questions? Any other?
Yeah, I have something, Paul. There was a moment in there where you showed groups, I guess, that you were sharing visibility for.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? I don't remember seeing anything analogous to that with the current Build Central.
Let me see. This will be freaky. I'll have both up at the same time. Steal my secret stuff. Hopefully there's nothing too shady going on in here. Let me see. Edit settings. That was this section down here before. So visibility permissions for this installation. You probably didn't notice it because there is some default behavior here, and so not everyone messes with it. But basically what it does, each one of these is a project on my Configura, and those projects have different permissions. You have to be like a member of the project. But what I can do is this, and what it means is this build box will be visible in the Build Center to anyone who is a member of the developer training project as a developer or anything else. That is the equivalent to that stuff.
Got it. It might be safe to say then, just because I'm only doing one project here, that I don't get that view, because it's assuming I'll only have one project to share.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think how the default behavior works is whenever you create a box, if you don't explicitly do anything with this section, it just assumes every project you have visibility to should be in this section. And it just kind of pops it in for you.
So, I don't even get this section when I try to create a box.
Oh, really? Is this an internal thing?
That's what I'm thinking. It must be because I'm only in one project. It's just giving me that default. It's my guess, at least.
That is very possible. I guess, yeah, if you were, well, I don't know. I'd have to look up to that. But yeah, if you're only in one project, then this section isn't doing much for you anyway. Okie doke. Then I think what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I'll call it quits. I'll go ahead and, well, I'll stop my share here for a second. If anyone has any questions, I'll stick on for a few minutes afterwards if you think of anything. But otherwise, oh, I should probably tell you when this is going out. I think we have a fairly firm target of December 7th to start rolling this out. So there will be info out there. You can always contact me or developer support with questions. Yeah, I'm thinking the 7th is when we're going to ship this. But for now, thank you everyone for your time. Have a good day.